Hello, if you're watching this, then you chose to listen to me as we read the text, okay? We should have already completed this. For this one, use these symbols to mark the text while reading through the first time. So a check for something you already know, question mark for something you have a question about, a star for something you learned and that is important, and a circle for new vocabulary. So you should have checks, question marks, stars, and circles all throughout this text. Orbits and Gravity, Follow Along with Me by Linda R. Williams. The moon orbits the Earth and the Earth orbits the sun. Have you ever wondered why the planets orbit instead of fly off into space? Well, this is a great question. There are actually two scientific principles at work to create an orbit. They are inertia and gravity. Circle those if you have not, if they're new. Inertia is the tendency of an object in motion to stay in motion or an object at rest to stay at rest until a force acts upon it. Star here, star here. If you roll a skateboard down a hill, it will keep rolling until something acts upon it. Likewise, if you set a toy car on a table, it will just sit there until a force such as a push or pull makes it move. Like when we put like our phones on the table, we're expecting our phones not to roll off because the table is a nice smooth surface that doesn't have any angles in it for our phone to roll off of. Therefore, celestial bodies like planets that are in motion should just keep moving in a straight line unless a force acts upon them. Gravity is a pulling force between objects. Gravity pulls two objects together. The bigger the mass of the objects, the larger the gravitational pull. Here's some images. Greater mass, greater pull. Less mass, less pull. Greater mass, greater pull. Less mass, less pull. Earth is a huge object, so its gravitational force is very strong. This is why when you drop something, it falls to the Earth. It is also why we don't just fly off the Earth. We and other objects are pulled towards the Earth through the force called gravity. Okay, so this is the distance. Since we are on top of Earth, that's why we're pulled into gravity. But with objects, which is why we don't collide into objects, is because of the space between them. Greater the distance, decrease the amount of force. Okay, so more distance, less force. Less distance, more force. So these pictures should help you guys out. You have to put like a star by them, okay? Besides mass of an object, the other thing that affects gravitational pull is distance between objects. When the distance between objects is greater, the gravitational pull decreases. When the distance between objects decreases, the gravitational pull is stronger. Inertia and gravitational pull are the two main scientific principles that cause planets to orbit. Sorry, I went too fast. Our sun is huge. Our sun is huge. It has a strong gravitational pull because it has a huge mass. The force of attraction between the sun and the Earth pulls hard enough to change Earth's direction of travel. The sun's gravity keeps all the planets in orbit in our solar system. Without gravity, Earth would fly off into space, like in a straight line. So the sun can hold up to, I believe, like 100 billion Earths. It's humongous. Sir Isaac Newton was the scientist who studied moving objects. He came up with 3 laws of motion. Star, the first law, this one's really important, is very central to what we are talking about here. His first law states that every object will remain at rest or in continuous motion in a straight line unless compelled to change its state by the action of an external force. In other words, a moving object can change speed and/or direction only when a force pushes or pulls it. Here's Sir Isaac Newton. This is actually a painting, like a portrait of him in a painting because they didn't have cameras back then. Objects in space follow the laws or rules of physics, just like objects on Earth do. Objects in space travel in a straight line unless there is a force that makes them stop or change. Gravity influences the movement of objects in space. This is how it is, like an elliptical pattern, and how space just dumps out due to the gravitational pull. Orbits and gravity. It is not just the planets that are in orbit around the sun or the moons that are in orbit around the planets. The entire solar system, our sun with its planets, moons, asteroids, and comets, orbit the center of the Milky Way galaxy. The Milky Way is a barred spiral galaxy composed of at least 100 billion stars. Our sun is called Sol, and it is just one of the billions of stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Many of the stars in the Milky Way also have planets orbiting them. Our solar system is located in the Orion Cygnus arm of the Milky Way galaxy. Here's a picture of it here, okay? The solar system is in orbit around the galaxy. The planets are in orbit around the sun, and the moons are in orbit around their planets, just like they are here, okay? Inertia and gravity are the two main reasons for these orbits. Here's a picture of our galaxy. This is our location in the galaxies. Okay, I believe they're right here, somewhere here. And then the vastness of the universe is difficult to imagine. It is massive expanse containing billions of galaxies, so each of which contain billions of stars. The distances involved are also difficult for us to comprehend. Even one of our nearest galactic neighbors, Andromeda, is 2.5 million light years away. So just to put this into context, 1 light year equals 6 trillion miles, okay? So that would mean that we would travel for around 30 billion years to even reach Andromeda, our nearest galaxy. Answer these questions to the best of your ability. Go back to the text. If you actually annotated correctly with the checks and the stars and the circles, then you could easily answer these questions. You're answering these questions in complete sentences using vocabulary from the text, okay? For this one, you put this in order from smallest to biggest, like from the smallest object to the biggest object. This is supposed to say planet. And then for this is just extra stretch work if you want to finish it, and you'll get bonus points for it. You can go back and